Howdy everybody, my name is Noah and this is another episode of Life Through the Viewfinder. And today we're going to be continuing on into part 2 of my Land Between the Lakes shoot. So let's get right to it. This time the weather wasn't super cooperative, we got some rain and it was overcast the entire time. I was hoping that would work out in my favor because we had some cooler temperatures, so I was hoping there would be more opportunity for some creatures to be wandering around. Now, luckily for us, we did get a couple of critters, and we'll get to that in a second. Our first stop on the shoot today was at the Elk and Bison Prairie. Now, the Elk and Bison Prairie is about a 700-acre strip of gated natural land, and the inhabitants of it include wild bison, elk, as well as a handful of other animals. And this was a very cool experience. It was $5 to get in, and then once you're in, so long as you stay within a certain amount of distance from the animals, you can get out of your car and walk around. And there are multiple places to park along the trail so that you can get out and take pictures. Now, I'm gonna say it right here at the beginning, I did not capture any bison. Unfortunately, I didn't get an opportunity to see the herd. But that's okay because we still got a bunch of other cool stuff. Now, the first thing that caught my eye wasn't even an animal. As I was driving, looking around, I saw these really pretty orange flowers peeking out from the brush. I didn't see any immediate danger with any nearby animals or anything, so I pulled over and I got out and I went up to them and I got these. Now, there is no shortage of flower pictures, but I just thought this was a really unique part of the shoot overall, and I wanted to include these because I actually really like this picture as sort of a macro shot. I shot this on the 85mm, I was able to get in really tight and get this really nice blurring around everything with those couple of petals that are just super in focus. And of course, who doesn't love orange? These colors are super reminiscent of fall and really just the brightness of them compared to the darker backgrounds and how gray the sky was. I think that this was just a nice little find along the trail. Next on the prairie, I got this. I got this really cool shot of this turkey and its chicks. Is that what baby turkeys are called? Okay. Now, I got a bunch of shots of the turkeys, but this is my favorite one by far. I really love the colors on the turkey, I really love how visible the chicks are, and I pulled a lot of brightness out of the background to really make the foreground pop. And moving on from that, I got this shot, which was just a spur of the moment thing. There was cars behind me, so I had to take the photo quick, and I was on full auto at this point. But I wanted to try to capture the turkeys that I had previously taken pictures of in my side mirror. So as soon as I got an opportunity, I saw them, I adjusted my mirror, I took the quick snapshot, and I mean, this picture is cool, but it's not great. The shutter speed is way off, and nothing is particularly in focus. But you can make out the turkeys, and then you have this blue bird that just flies through the frame at the perfect moment. So even though this isn't a super great or technically skillful shot, it's just a lucky shot that I think looks really cool. And though I wish it would have come out better, I can't complain about just capturing something cool like this. And that's kind of it as far as the Elk and Bison Prairie. Like I said, we didn't see any of the larger animals, and honestly, I think I would rather go back another time because the only lenses that I had on this shoot were my 50mm and my 85. And one thing that I don't have that I would really like to invest in one day is a 70-200. That way I can get in way tighter on my subjects when I'm shooting from a distance like this. That being said, I would really like to revisit this prairie when I have that equipment so I can try again and get some better shots. But that wasn't all we did on this shoot. I decided to hit another hiking trail. And on that trail, I came across this little tunnel. And I really liked the way that this one turned out. And this one actually took a lot of editing in post. And I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna share with you the raw. And this is the raw image. This is what I took in camera. As you can see with this comparison, the raw versus the edited is very different. They evoke very different emotions, and that was intentional. I really wanted to create this sort of void around the foreground, where the darkness becomes that light in the center of the frame. This is definitely one of my favorite images from the shoot. I really like the way that this one turned out, especially after all of the editing. Also, don't get super used to me showing you raws. That's like a photographer faux pas, I guess. Anyway, moving on. We also got this really cool butterfly. This guy was just flying around and he was so kind enough to stop and let me get a couple pictures of him. So I got this first one of him stopped and just kind of splayed his wings out on the ground, and I got this one of him taking off. So let me break down both of these individually real quick. Of course, this first one I was able to get super close, and I really wanted to make those colors pop. And when you got a beautiful pattern like that, you gotta make it pop. So I really just increased the saturation on the wings, and then as far as everything else in the image, I kind of just use my normal editing workflow. But then this other image, where the butterfly is sort of starting to fly away, I kind of wanted to capture a different emotion with this image. Thus, I made it black and white. But of course, I kept the blue of the butterfly's wings, because that's the focal point. It's the thing you want to look at. So adding that little bit of color back in just makes the image itself pop a little bit more, and it creates the focal point of the butterfly itself, while removing focus from the rest of the image. Now, as I continued my hike, I was heading to a place called Golden Pond. And along that path, I got this photo of some fungus growing on the side of a tree. And then this happened. So I did that hike to what I thought was going to be a lake overlook called Golden Pond. Golden Pond is a historic village that no longer exists. As you can see through this little pane of glass, that's what Golden Pond looked like at a certain point from this very spot. So that hike was not going towards a pond/lake overlook like I thought it was. It was going to overlook a highway that is now running through what was a historical village. But I didn't let that get me down. I busted out the ND filters. I tried to get some long exposures of the cars traveling along the highway. And I'm gonna be honest, none of them really turned out great, but this is the best one. So what I really wanted to get was two cars intersecting at the same time. One coming from the right side of the screen and one coming from the left side of the screen. And I kind of wanted to get the two streaks running parallel to one another, but unfortunately I didn't get that. I stayed up there for 15 minutes or so trying to capture this image, and then it started to rain. I had about a 1.5 mile trek back, so I decided to pack up and roll on. And that concludes my trips to the land between the lakes. I really enjoyed my time traveling around this park. It's just vast forest and natural land. When you're on these trails and there's nobody else around, there's no sound except for the nature around you. I haven't been surrounded by nature like that in a really long time. So being able to go and capture some of these moments that I was able to experience was really cool. And if you love hiking trails, if you love nature, if you just want to go see some elk and some bison, I really recommend going and checking this place out. There are way more trails that I didn't get a chance to go to. And like I said, I'd like to go back one day with a different lens kit to try and capture more. And that's going to bring us to the end of this episode of Life Through the Viewfinder. Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you would like to, you can follow me at these places. Please consider liking, subscribing, and all of the other things that you got to do on YouTube to help us make it big. But that is going to be it from me this time. Thank you everybody again, and of course, as always, goodbye forever.